All right, we are live and we've got a two-part video here today. I'm in the middle of my sales and marketing training series where normally I've covered all the technical things on here. I'm giving you guys insights that do connect to the tech, but they come from my background in a call center and then scaling my own call centers. So today we're going to talk about how I create my scripts. I'm going to actually share the templates that we use to create them. I'm going to talk about the general frameworks and what's important for a cold call script, metrics, KPIs that you should be looking for, and how to put it in high level so you can access it easily on a call. I'm also going to talk about our new bonus for our affiliates. So when you sign up for Go High Level, you sign up usually through an affiliate's link. Usually you're going to get some bonuses, and the affiliate gets some commission from High Level. So, right, you're not paying them because you're not in their agency. You're signed up to High Level directly, and High Level is paying a commission. So all the other affiliates, they just give courses, and usually that's it. Sometimes there'll be group calls. And as far as I know, nobody is doing done for you setups, especially not every month for your high level subscription. So I take that money and instead of just putting it in my pocket, I pay my team to help you. Um, Setting up a whole high level account takes about 5 hours for us, and that's going to be inbound and outbound voice, conversational AI, A2P calendars, a messaging flow that goes out to new leads with AI calls and texts and emails, a reactivation campaign. You put people back through if they didn't respond to any of those messages, maybe 90 days later, and a no-show flow and appointment reminders. It's pretty much a core setup. That takes 5 hours, but any of those individual things usually take less than an hour. So if you're on the 497 plan, we can do a whole sub account for you every month. If you're on the 97 plan, we can set up a couple things for you every month. We can come in and turn on AI employee if you go unlimited to give your clients 100 calls per day, which should save them and make them a ton of money. An appointment setter usually costs between 1,000 and 5,000 a month. High Level will get you that same value for $100, and they pay me a $40 commission if you're using my code. And so I can actually set that whole thing up in an hour. So you turn it on month one for all your clients. I set all your clients up. They're all making money. And now, if you had 10 sub accounts, you got 10 hours of support from me every month. So it works out real well for everybody. It's kind of a no-brainer, especially on the AI employee side now that outbound voice is there. And it's what I wish I had when I was a new agency owner or a new business owner using High Level with my solar company. You don't just get the done for you support, you get group calls where you get to talk to me. I'm the third highest rated High Level certified admin in the world. I just won the top AI High Level, the sub account from High Level. More businesses High Level wide turned on AI Employee Unlimited with my code. And there's a lot more information you can find on our new site, which I'm going to put in the description here. You can ask for in a text. Just join the community at the top and reach out. We'll get you if you want to migrate your account or if you want to upgrade or you want to turn on AI employee. We'll help you make sure you're getting more value out of every dollar you're already spending. And so that's the new thing, right? I'm excited to get everybody on there. I've been seeing more affiliate signups through my link than I have in the past year this month from it. So I'm excited for everybody. And now we're going to talk about cold calling, right? Um, I'm guilty of it myself. In this business, I wasn't setting appointments for my clients with a manual setter. I had the AI to do everything, and that'll get you some deals. It'll definitely help people be able to reschedule easier and answer their questions. It takes a lot off your plate regardless. But I have never seen just being honest, I've never seen a profitable campaign where people weren't also calling their leads. You have to call your leads 5 to 7 times, and that's where you're going to get the majority of your closes from. Sometimes if you have a ton of credibility, the good leads will come through and book on their own, but you have to really work for that effect to happen. And it doesn't come from just pestering them with AI. It comes from credibility and from them liking you. Um, so then you've got I'd say you get 4%. I'm adjusting this a little bit, Bob. I'd say you get 4% from calling your leads of your close rate. So out of your total leads, you're going to close 4% of them from calling them. The AI automations and stuff, auto booking, you're going to get 1 or 2% from that. Um, and the The important thing is to call them about 5 times, but you got to know how to do it. You have to know like how what makes a good cold call. And I came up in a call center, so I know it from A to Z. And then I hired and managed my own team of 60 people in the Philippines and 20 in Egypt. And that is like the really the most important thing your clients are going to want as a marketing agency is booked appointments. And business owners, they also that's the main thing they need. Most of them just don't really know how to call and don't want to for sure. And so as an agency owner, that's supposed to be our area of expertise. Um, so I'm going to show you the scripts. I'm going to show you how we plug it in and how I generate new ones for my clients. At this point, I've just got a chat that I use to generate new scripts. I've already used it for, cold call and warm call. Um, Cold call, there's a couple different angles you can take in the very beginning. But you want to operate off of some information you already have in most cases. So in my last video, the first one from this series, I talked about different cold call sources. I'm going to talk a little more before I pull up my chat. I talked about data sources, right? So you've either got Facebook leads or you've got some source of cold data. It's really important your data is targeted. So you're either going to know that they're a homeowner in a certain city, or you're going to know that they have a website up that's for attorneys, or you're going to know that they had a Google business profile in there and what they are. Um, and so you got to take that and you can know like what type of website they have or some other info depending on like I talked about built with and Outscraper. Outscraper pulls Google My Business profiles. And from that, you can tell, hey, your hours are not up to date. There's things you can tell about the GBP. From built with, it'll pull a list of people using a certain type of software in their business, or people with a certain type of website or profession. So it scans their website, the HTML code on the back end and the front end. You can pull keywords or you can pull software. So I can get a list of all the high level users or all the Shopify users. And when you call them, you'd say, "Hey, I wanted to call about your Shopify account." You go in something like that, um, and they're like, "Yeah, what's going on with them?" Like, so is it performing really well for you? How many sales are you getting? Then you get into the question, and you kind of have to do something to disrupt them, to break the pattern of a sales call in the beginning. You never want to lie, but if you can, you almost always are going to have to make them think that you're a client without saying it, or that you're calling about an account that they have for the first minute or two before you tell them your offer. Just a little bit of pattern disruption goes a long way. So the way you do it, and you don't do that with Facebook, but you need to do that with cold calling. So I'm going to show you the ways that we do it in our scripts. But those are some of the two most common openers. We've got a guy Bob on here, and I've been working on an annuity script for his cold leads and his hot leads. And the Facebook leads are pretty straightforward. We just call and say, "Hey, you clicked on an ad about X, Y, and Z." And then usually the business owner is going to have communicated some of the stronger selling points. And for annuities, it's would you like to see how much more guaranteed income you qualify for? That's the one that people like to hear. But then for the cold call side, we know that these people have annuities. You can also, I was talking about data sources, and there are some specific ones that you'll find for different industries. You can get a lot of financial data about like a lot of it comes from credit reports. Um, this isn't from that, but we know that these people have annuities. And so we call and say, "Hey, we're doing a free annuity check-in call. They're all-time highest right now, and we wanted to do a free check-in to see if your annuity's going to get you more guaranteed income right now." And so you're just assuming that it's cool that you know that they have an annuity. Some people might not like that. Um, but it cuts straight to the point and it kind of fits with something that, oh yeah, I do have an annuity. It makes it feel like it's disruptive and a little bit in the beginning. Um, so that's just some insight for cold and warm for Bob, the example I have on the call now. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the cold calling strategy that I see working the best. We talked about how to prepare the data and all that on the last call. So basically, we know that we've got the cell phone number of a person who is in a certain industry. And sometimes we know what type of website they have. I'm using the AI employee intro. This is for agency specific, where I go in and say, um, first off, I'm going to look at their GMB, look at their website, and I learned this strategy from Pavel. He's another high level affiliate. He also does the email scrape. I didn't realize that, but I was looking at some of his videos. He does the same thing, not the email scrape. He does the phone number validation to decide which numbers to call. So I was like, oh shoot, somebody else does that too. but his script was really good. It's like the one I used to use, but I think it's better, especially since my focus is AI. And what he says is he uses the GMB. He doesn't use built with, which is what I always used in my old companies, and I still use that because there's a lot of industries where you can't see that category on a GMB. You need a website keyword. But we call and we say, um, "Hey, is this such and such business? Yeah. Are you guys still open right now?" And that's just like he does that to like kind of confuse them. So now he's really making you think they're a client when he says that. Is your website, or are you guys sold right now? The business owner's like, yeah, right now they're wondering, is my information messed up somewhere? So you're just throwing them off guard essentially. And then he says, yeah, is this still your website? And he gives them the website. And if he notices anything else, he'll say it. But like, and he asks, when I say notice something, I mean ask a question about something that could potentially confuse a client that you're noticing. And then after that, one of that business owner's clients. And after the client answers that question, he says, well, I built an AI employee from your site, and I was actually going to let you check it out. If you want to hop on a call, I can let you check it out, but it'll book 3 to 4 appointments for you over the next few days. And I was going to let you use it for free for a few days if you want to check it out. And so at that point, now it connects to the business owner, but they've gotten out of their defensive position and it lets them book. So I've got scripts for all these types of calls I just mentioned. It's really like the cold call strategy. You're going to need to customize a little bit. The only thing I haven't mentioned in here, and I'm going to use the transcript of this video also to help me generate more scripts more easily in the future too. Um, and I can create a prompt for everybody that we can share. But the other thing for calling is if they did see an ad, the same way we're like, oh, we're doing annuity check-ins to see if your annuity is worth more. We're like triggering something they know they have. Same with uh, asking about their business hours or saying, hey, I'm calling about your high level account or your WordPress account or your Shopify account. When you're calling a Facebook lead, it's super important in the first line before you really give them a chance to respond. You need to trigger that memory and then also trigger something about the offer, like why they want it. So with the cold calling, we're saying, hey, we're checking up on your annuity to see if you qualify for more guaranteed income. So I'm getting it all out in like one short sentence, both of the triggers for for the Facebook leads, we're gonna say, "Hey, you clicked on our ad about XYZ, and I wanted to see if we you had a few minutes for us to show you how much you would benefit." And when I say how much you benefit, that's gonna be customized for whatever your offer is, like how we can get you X, Y, and Z. Whatever was pretty much said explicitly in the ad, you need to help them remember that they clicked that ad. So you're trying to like bring all that back to memory as quick as you can in that first line, and then you say, "Does that ring a bell?" From there, it's pretty easy. Qualify and book. You want an average call to be about 5 to 7 minutes long. If you get, and this is really very, very true. If you're under 4 minutes, they're probably not going to hold. If you're over 7 minutes, they're probably not going to hold. If you go over 7 minutes, people have too much information and they don't really want to talk. They'll then want to go compare or they just you quench that desire they have to figure out more. And the other important KPI is if you don't book this appointment same day or next day, there's like a less than a 20% chance it's going to show up. So when you get done with your qualifying questions, you want a couple in there to help extend the call. Also, whenever they answer a qualifying question, you always want to transition by responding to it and saying something that's intelligent about, and then helping them understand why you're about to ask the next question. So if I ask, hey, are you over 65? They say, yeah, I'm like, okay, great. Then you're probably going to qualify for X, Y, and Z. Now, I also need to know if your income qualifies. How much are you qualifying for? Or how much are you making? So you need to explain why you're asking the question and relate back to what they said, or they will get bored and they'll start wondering, why are you asking these questions? If you kind of paint like why you're asking the next thing as you ask it, and also respond to what they said before, it keeps it going. And what we call this is it's kind of like answer, pivot, ask. When somebody gives you an objection, you answer, you pivot, and then you ask the next question that moves you along your agenda. And it's important you do that every time you're asked a question. You will fall flat on your face if you just answer the question and don't pivot back to your agenda. Um, And it's also great if you can explain how what they said connects and why you're about to go back to your agenda. Um, but I was explaining even when they are answering your question, you respond, help give them more context, and then pivot into your next question in a logical way, and that keeps them okay with you on the call. It shows that you're respecting their time and also that you're listening. So those are really all the main things. There's one other aspect which we learn in call centers where we call addressing a flag. If somebody is giving you, there's red flags and there's yellow flags. Yellow flags, you might be okay if you don't address it. A red flag, you're over if you don't address it. A red flag is you say, "What time can you meet?" And you say, maybe you say, they say I could do 5. You're like, okay, I'm getting you down for 5. And you're like, well, actually, and then you just book it anyway, and or you say, all right, I got you booked for 5, and you move on. If there's anything in there that's like that didn't make sense, like maybe they think they might have something else, you have to stop and say, well, you know what? That's actually a yellow flag. That's like it might be bad, it might not. You want to address every yellow flag and every red flag, and the more you got to be confident to address the yellow flags. You just stop it there and address it. A red flag is more like they say something that might indicate that they're not qualified, like they're not the business owner, or they might not have a house, they might be renting. If you don't address something like that, then you've totally wasted your time and it's totally a fake set. So that's the difference in red and yellow flags. In general, anything funny, even a feeling you're getting, like the way they're answering is off, you have to stop and say, hey, so, I just want to make sure that does this all making sense to you? I felt like maybe you got some hesitation. That's like how you stop and get them to pull out their objection. Yellow flags tell you there may be an objection you haven't heard. So now I'm gonna hold back. I'm gonna give you guys the scripts and the prompts we use. I'll create another prompt for the community for you guys to use to generate scripts with all this information I just shared. And now I really want to ask like Bob and Mike who are on here if you guys have any questions, like what your thoughts were of what I shared, and maybe you'll uncover some things that I forgot to talk about. You guys have anything coming to mind?
We've been talking about this for a while now, and I think that the uh, call scripts that you've developed so far have been pretty good. And I think that the appointment setting, we've already set up 4 appointments, and I think that we're going to set up a lot more.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It used to take me so long to write a good script. ChatGPT makes it so much easier now. But I think that I got out almost all of the principles that you really need to know to call well. There's still a couple more nuances that come down to just delivery of the scripts. You really need to have a sense of urgency when you're speaking to capture people's respect and make them feel like you are not going to waste their time. It's a certain tone that I kind of learned to speak with in the call center. And that's kind of hard for me to put words around exactly how you do that, or maybe it's just I don't know. But thank you, Bob. I'm glad it's working. And I'll also talk about how I train my team to be able to do this and what I provide them. So I give them the script. Oh, and I'm going to go and show how to put this in a high level. So I give them the script, but I don't just give it to them. There's something in sales called breaking kind of the paradigm. The leader has to show that it's possible. If people think that it's not possible, they won't have the courage to do it. So for me, when I walked into a call center and I saw the top rep making 6 figures a year, that was all I needed to see. I knew that was possible, but there wasn't anybody getting 200, 300K. And I bet you that that was possible, to be honest. People get an expectation of what's possible, and once they're close to the top, they forget to look and realize there's whole different things you can change that would be dramatically different. Just like the story they always talk about in sales is the 4 minute mile. That for like, I don't know, hundreds of years, nobody ever thought it was possible to run a 4 minute mile, and nobody had ever done it. And I think it was back like 30 years ago, or in the past 100 years, somebody finally broke the 4 minute mile, and like 10 other people did it in the next year. It was a mental thing that people didn't think it was possible. And once people knew it was possible, everybody started doing it. Even with something as physical as running. Um, and that applies to sales in the way that if you don't lead from the front with your team, they'll never be able to do it. So if I thought that I could give my VAs a script and tell them to run and do it, it would never work. You have to, whenever I'm piloting a new call center, I block off an extra 30 minutes in the morning. And when I call center, I just mean really like a new client who's I'm setting an appointment setter up for. That guy's going to need a video of me booking two appointments in like 30 minutes. Because really, VAs are probably, their skill level is not quite, it's not going to be where the agency owner is. And if you, VAs should get a couple appointments a day, even if it's cold calling. Sometimes you'll see like 4, 8 appointments, rarely. Um, but when I can book an appointment every 20 minutes. So what's important is for you to make a video where you're laser focused and you do a call session with no distractions. You whip out two appointments in one 30-minute video, and then you say, "Here, take this." And I don't want to hear any complaints about this not being possible. You have to prove it on video, and then from there, you can also look at your call stats. This is also very important. You're going to see what was my average call time, how many dials did I make, and how long. Like what was the actual time span it occurred across, and then how long was I actually on the phones? How many dials did I make? Averages. Take a snapshot of that information. Um, because there are a lot of things you need to watch out for. If call times are too low, you'll get reps that'll try to call and hang up before it even hits the voicemail so that they jack up their call numbers. Or they'll hit voicemails and just leave the phone on the voicemail to bring up their call time and look like they're dialing or talking to people. So you need to watch out for call average times that are too short. And you need to look out for people calling the same number too many times, which is if they find one that always goes straight to voicemail, they'll use that to gas their numbers up. So there's some little tricks of the trade. And now I'm going to show you guys how to put it into the dialer, how to put it so it's easy for them to call. Um, oh, so when you call, you can go right here, and I'm just going to call myself. If you call that number, I expect you to set an appointment with me. And you can go to your scripts right here. So I've got everything right here, and you can switch between the scripts. So it's really nice to have it there, and that works on the mobile or on your browser. So you can do that from anywhere. And the way you set that up is you just put your industry and some business information, your lead source into the prompt I'm going to provide you guys, and then you generate the script from it, and you go into phone system, voice, um, call scripts. Super important. Um, I did a video a few weeks ago, and guys, I'm going to pull out all these important sections. I did a video a few weeks ago where I showed how I manage call dispositions in HighLevel. I still don't use the one right here, and so that should be really what you look at next if you're trying to set up your call team. That shows you how to keep track of which leads need to be called and how many times you're calling. And make sure that your VA can at one look spot important leads to call and not miss anything. And I talk about different types of dialers and stuff like that too. So, guys, that's what I got for you. I've given you everything that I know about this stuff besides uh, all the all that you learn from having to drill that phone. It's the only thing that I can't teach from there. Um, but guys, what you got? Bob, Mike, any questions?
I have no question.
All right. Mike, thanks for joining, man. Bob, of course, love to see you here. And I will see you on Monday, Bob. And Mike, if you want to grab a time, just shoot me a text.
Thank you, sir. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.